Welcome back to SAFC Live. We'll start to dissect that one, but in the end it finished 4-2 to Southampton in the end. It was a busy second half of goals, but Sunderland getting themselves back into it, Danny, and then hit with a double blow from Joe Rothwell.
Yeah, exactly that. I think first half caused our own problems, didn't we? Went in 2-0 down at the break and they think, can we come out and have a bit of energy? And there wasn't too much happening at the start of the second half, and then they got a little bit loose on the ball, Southampton, invited us back into it, and we got ourselves back into the game and made a few changes, a bit of energy about us, and that's perhaps caught us out in the end, really. Obviously, Dan Ballard picked up his injury, and then do we go, sit back once we get the second and try and see the game out, or do we go on and try and get the winner? And I think we went after them a little bit, and at times they are going to play through you, Southampton, and I think that was the case. And obviously they picked us off, running back towards our own goal for the goals, and ultimately we've been punished.
Let's look back through it then and dissect the game from a Sunderland point of view here on the post-game programme, and then we'll get into your views and look at the scores as well. Mason Burstow started up front for Sunderland this afternoon. It's another opportunity for another striker. You probably have to say it wasn't taken again.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Just see here now, I think that early on he sets his mind that I'm going to open my body up and try and find in that far corner, but I think if he has it back, drive across the centre-back, he's got a yard on him there, or Chris Rigg is on the penalty spot, pull him out. You see Chris Rigg with his arms out saying, square it for me there, I'm free on the penalty spot. So it's decision making. When it's happening quite quick, you've got to get your head up and pick the right pass, and unfortunately we don't manage to, and then
this goal, dissect that one.
Well, yeah. So we get into a mess. They take it short, don't they, Southampton? We've got bodies back there, flipped up to the far post, no real pressure. One thing I will say, does Joe, we're not down there, we're not in the 6-yard box, does he get a shout off the goalkeeper? Does he get a shout off Trey Hume behind him? He can see it, probably see it out of play. If Trey's there, same time, just see it out. But he heads it back into it. You can see his reaction says it all, doesn't he? He's right side of the box there, and he almost, if you're watching the game now, you think he's squaring it for the teammate to put a header on goal, and that's exactly what's happened. And then we've been punished from it again, so it's another set piece which has cost us. We've not dealt with it, and it's in the back of the net. And then from there on, for the remainder of the second half, for the remainder of the first half, we were all over the show. I felt, we give the ball away time and time again. Loose passes, not under real pressure at times, trying to thread balls on the halfway line. And Southampton were getting into these types of areas and didn't really punish us. I think you could see Russell Martin, it was a minute or two before the break, he didn't actually look too happy, albeit they were 2-0 up. And they weren't at their best, Southampton. They were perhaps coasting in second gear in that first half as well. So that's the annoying thing from our point of view.
I think Russell Martin will still be disappointed, even though they won 4-2, because they just kind of went apart, didn't they, for about 15 minutes.
15 minutes or so, the manner of it as well, wasn't it? As you say, he'd probably take a 1-0 at this moment in time. As say, they've won their last two games 4-3 and 4-2, so they've scored 8 goals, but they've shipped 6 as well. So he's not going to be happy for 5, sorry, not happy from that point of view, is he? And it just went through the team. I said it with ourselves in the first half. It seems to be 3 or 4 players were giving the ball away, couldn't keep hold of the ball, and that's what happened with Southampton in that second half. And here's the second one now, and it's naive from Chris Rigg. I've said it. People will say he was a young lad. It happens to senior pros. I think watching the United game earlier on, Everton, Tarkowski gave a penalty away, having a little nibble, similar. But although Chris has gone flying in there on the left back, Manning. And
bit of controversy in the goal. Does he double kick it here?
I think he probably has. So you can see why they've argued it, but. So you're nitpicking, you want to keep the score at 1-0, of course you do, yeah, but Armstrong stepped up, hasn't he, put it away, 1 or 2, as I said, having a word with the linesman and the referee, thinking that he's obviously kicked the ball twice there, but they give the goal, and I don't think you can argue in that first half. Southampton probably deserved to be a couple of goals to the good, and then Mundell, I think it is that one, isn't it, there, difficult one for him, ball's clipped in, it's quite low, he's got to stoop down, hasn't he, and try and generate some power and direction on it, and he can't do so. And then Southampton coming again here now. Yes, right in half-time. Stevens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Up from the back. I'm not sure what he's doing there.
He didn't get a corner for it either, because it comes off Jensen's silk, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's cushioned for him, as you see from this one. Yeah, quite clearly pops up and didn't seem to argue it too much, albeit in the second half, I think he's probably frustrated with the referee if he has had a word with him at half-time with that one, maybe. And they had a few others. I think Brooks had 2 or 3. Similar one to this. He had a free kick as well, didn't he? Which he feathered into the arms of Anthony Patterson. No real power on it, really. Where are we at now? Yeah, just a little give and go there, Rathbone.
Job doing some defensive duty there.
Yeah, he does well, Job, in the end there to get back at it.
Tough afternoon for that back line for Sunderland.
It
and
was.
It looks like we've lost Dan Ballard to injury again.
Yeah, so your sort of your regular partnership disrupted with Luke O'Nien serving his suspension after Dan Ballard's served his, and then and Dan's obviously picked up an injury as well. I'm not sure whether it was his hamstring, he was holding the back of his leg, wasn't he, around the knee area. Tried to, as you say, run it off, but he come back on and clearly it wasn't right, so he had to make way. They made a couple of changes, didn't they? Suleiman down this left-hand side for Southampton. Quite lively when he come on, seeing a little bit of the ball, and Jensen Seal getting back at him there. And then here we come now. We come alive here. A little bit of pressure on Southampton. They've been a little bit slack on the ball, as we've mentioned there. We steal it off them, and Mundell pulls the trigger. And I think it is Stevens, isn't it? Just tries to get the leg there for the block, and it clips up off his calf, I think, and then just rides up and over the top of Bazunu.
A nice moment for Romain Mundell getting his first goal for the club, but obviously bad circumstances of the game. But goals breed goals, hopefully.
Yeah, I think so. A mixed afternoon for him. I think first half he put a half decent delivery in, no takers, nobody in the middle for it really. But we didn't see enough of him, as you want a natural winger to do, to pick the ball up and go past the man on the outside, up against Manning on that far side really, wasn't he, all afternoon. And then it's the second one now, drops to Job there. I think Bednarek can put a little bit more pressure on, but he's probably thinking, well, go on then, see there, he's a little bit hesitant, and then Job just shifts it to the right hand side.
Well, he more makes up for that mistake in the first half, doesn't he, with that?
Cancelled his error out, hasn't he, for that first one there. It's a lovely finish into that far side netting, 6th goal of the season. And then thinking, now you see there all the fans going mad behind the goal, really enjoyed it. The lads are enjoying it there, and they think, right, we're right back in this now. We've been putting pressure on Southampton, they've been loose, we've got ourselves back level, and out of nothing here. I mean, we haven't seen the build up from it there, but we get caught high pressing on that side. They play through as Southampton, nobody really comes across to Armstrong here, and then Hjelde,
who
deals
gets
with it
back from being forward, doesn't he, in that move,
and then drops to Rothwell, doesn't it? It's a decent finish, by the way. It's on the half volley, puts his laces through it, and bang. I think Trey Hume's back there, isn't he, trying to deal with it through his legs, and it's in the back of the net.
6 minutes after Job's goal, when Joe Rothwell strikes with his first one, and this is the second one.
Here you go. Now you can see, just look at the lads there. We're laboured, we're trying to get back in. We've pressed high, and then they're 4v3 really, and they use it quite well. Out to Armstrong, and then Trey does get back for this one, doesn't he? But because his body weight's coming this way, he can't get enough on it really. So it's not a great strike from Armstrong, and then unfortunately straight into the path of Rothwell there. So, and then that's game over, isn't it really? So Southampton got out of jail a little bit, to be honest. You could say deserved their lead, perhaps a couple of goals in that first half. You can't argue with that. Then we come back at them, and so is that one, isn't it? When you're back at 2-2, you're thinking, right, we're in this now. Are we going to go and get the winner? The momentum's with us, but unfortunately it wasn't, and that was the case. But that's how it's going at the minute. We're what's it now, 6 on the bounce, isn't it?
Yeah.
Without a point. So all of a sudden playoffs have gone, and then you're looking over your shoulder all of a sudden. We've had that cushion from where we are. We'll have a look at the table and obviously the other results now. Still 10 games or so to go, but we've got to start picking points up fast.
Let's have a look at the other results in the Championship this afternoon. It was an early kick-off. Cardiff City 2, Ipswich Town 1, Blackburn Rovers 1, Plymouth Argyle 1, Hull City 2, Leicester City 2, Millwall 1, Birmingham City 0, Norwich City 5, Rotherham United 0, Preston North End 1, Stoke City 2, Queen's Park Rangers 0, Middlesbrough 2, and Watford 1, Coventry City 2. Let's see what those results do to Sunderland's position in the Championship. So this is where Sunderland sit, looking down from 4th. So if you just notice there, looking down from 4th, Sunderland are 12th at the moment. Middlesbrough have gone ahead of them with their victory today.
And Cardiff as well. Cardiff just opened up another the gap as well, haven't they, with that win against Ipswich as well, yeah.
So Sunderland currently on 47 points. Well, I feel like we've been on 47 points for a long time now. Let's have a look beneath us then. For the first time this season we're doing this, Danny. We're looking at the table beneath us. And there's another little segment there of the table. So looking below us, it's tight.
It is indeed, isn't it? Yeah, as you say, Queen's Park Rangers will be our next opponents. I think they got beat there, didn't they, against Middlesbrough?
There's a bit of a gap from Plymouth, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. You're still looking there, aren't you? Down into 19th, Stoke picking up a win. They needed a win in the relegation zone, so they've managed to get that 6 points to ourselves. I mean, obviously you're looking at goal difference a little bit there, but yeah, things can change quickly in football. So all of a sudden, as we said, from where we were a month or so ago, where we're competing all around that 6th place really with Hull and Coventry and the likes, weren't we, in Norwich. Then all of a sudden now you're having a look at over your shoulder at those teams there, and you've got to pick up results. Otherwise, you are going to keep dropping down the table. You can say, look at the week we've had with the fixtures: Norwich, Leicester, and Southampton, teams who are right up there competing as you'd expect. And we've obviously picked up no points from those 3 games. Now all of a sudden then we've got a week's break now, and we've got to get ready to go against Queen's Park Rangers. Yeah,
okay then. Let's have a look at your opinions around the world here on the #AskDanny section of the programme. Jill's been in touch. Should Rusin and Aushish have started today? We improved when they came on.
Yeah, if I'm honest, I was looking this morning as I usually do. I'm thinking, what would I go with? And those 2 were in my starting 11. I was thinking, we said it before the game as well, more energy really on the, on the turnovers. If we do win it, you expect Southampton to have the ball. Can we break with a little bit of pace? And I think Rusin gives us that. He's out of the strikers really we've got. I think he's the one who plays on the shoulder. He's the one who looks in behind a little bit more. And Aushish, I think he was lively. Didn't quite happen for him today. He had a couple of efforts, didn't he? But it didn't quite happen for him, and perhaps didn't get involved as much. But yeah, I think I perhaps would have gone with them. Mike Dodds obviously didn't. He brought them on later on. They got us sort of as a team back into the game really. But it's something he's going to weigh up, I'm sure, moving forward. Again, we keep changing the striker, don't we? Constantly rotating who's playing up there. Hemir obviously started the last couple, didn't get off the bench today. Burstow will be frustrated. He had a couple of chances in the first half. I think his first one, although he's hit the post with the second one, I think the first one is the one where he'll think I could have done more with that one really. A little bit more drive maybe, and then work the keeper on that one certainly. But yeah, and listen, everybody's got to dissect it now, and the post-mortems come out in the pub with their fans and they'll be saying, why didn't we do this? Everybody does, it happens naturally. We're going to do that, and at the end of the day, it comes down to Mike Dodds and his coaching staff. That's the team they went with. It hasn't worked out again. Back to the drawing board. Yep,
okay then. Let's have a look at another opinion here on #AskDanny. Peter has been in touch. We look a bit lost. Is it confidence or young players? We make lots of mistakes. Also, I enjoyed talking to you on Tuesday outside of Queen's Bar. Well, thanks, Peter, and nice to see you at the Stadium of Light. It's a very young team, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're only going to get better if they play games. One of the players who probably was criticised in the first half was Job because of his involvement in the first goal.
Yeah.
But then second half came through it and scored a great goal.
Yeah, he did, yeah. And it's a difficult one because you've got young lads out there, and sometimes you can say, listen, they go out there, they play with no fear, and they enjoy the football, as we've seen. We said it over the last season and a half, really. But we're on the flip side of that now, and it's how they come through. It's a difficult spell. 6 defeats on the bounce, playing for the big club at this level. And as I said earlier on, social media's out there, different to what it was in my playing days. It's out there now. The lads, I'm sure they're all on there, and they know what the flack's coming their way, and you've got to deal with it. And it'll be difficult for them because, as we mentioned earlier, as a young lad, and a lot of these, but I think who's the most experienced player? Probably Dan Ballard out there today, was he?
Yeah.
In terms of championship games under his belt, really.
Him or Dan Neil, isn't it?
Dan Neil, probably, yeah. So they've got to come through it, and you want to get them out on the pitch. They're going to gain experience from playing and being part of it, but we just haven't really got any experience out there with them. We said Luke O'Nien missing today. He's going to be missing again next week, isn't he? Corey's not out there. Obviously, experienced lads have moved on. The likes of Alex Pritchard, Danny Bart, all these lads have gone. So they're perhaps looking around and thinking, well, who've we got out there now to pull us through a little bit of a sticky spell? But at the same time, I mean, I can only speak for myself. I perhaps wouldn't have been that type. I thought, I know my job. If you've played well or you haven't quite been at it, what am I looking to improve on during the week? How can I help myself be better for the next game? So sometimes you've got to, look at your own performances and think, right, we're in a sticky spell. Yes, I've just said it there, we're playing for a massive club at this level, and we've got to come through it. And we've got Queen's Park Rangers coming up next to with a team sat below us in the table.
Yes.
So it's a biggie now, because if they gain 3 points on us,
we need to open
and
the
one
gap,
or two others
don't we?
yeah, of course we do, yeah. And then if we go pick the 3 points up, then you relieves a little bit of the pressure.
Yeah.
We've got the losing streak out of the way, really.
Yeah.
And can they get back on track a little bit more now? And obviously, looking at the bodies we've got missing as well, I know other teams can sit there and they'll say, we've got several players in the treatment room, naturally, as you do this time of the season. But, you're missing Jack Clark, you're missing Patrick on the other side, Dennis Sirkin, Adji Elise, Luke O'Nien's out today. I'll have missed a few others. Corey, been missing all season.
Big old list, isn't it?
You've got a massive list there of lads who probably be in your starting 11 as well. So it's, on the same time, it's a big opportunity for the other boys. Chris Rigg. Chris wasn't at the levels he was on Tuesday, but it's going to happen. Obviously, you know, at first in the first half, balls come into him, bounced off him a little bit loose at times, and then obviously give the penalty away for the second goal as well, and then came off, 5 minutes or so after the break, 10 minutes. So he's going to learn from this, and that's how they learn, these young lads, because people say, oh, they're too young to put in, but how are they going to learn if they're not going to get opportunities on the pitch? And that's going to be the case now.
Okay. I think we have time for one more hashtag. Here is Lewis, who's been in touch. Where do you think it went wrong for us compared to last season? Or maybe Lewis means the game earlier this season? I mean...
all's on about in general where we were last season. Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, I think that's Lewis's point there, isn't it?
From where we were at. I think, well, to be fair, at this stage last season, I think it's just about roundabout now where we were 9 unbeaten towards the end, where we had to go on a good run to get into the playoffs. So we were
on the last day of the season.
We were having a bit of a wobble at this stage, albeit we're sat perhaps a little bit lower now in the table than what we were last season. But yeah, I mean, you look at personnel. Obviously, we had Ahmad on loan last season, who's your little bit of magic, wasn't he? To get us out of trouble, or he could just come up with something out of nothing really at times. I just mentioned it there. Jack's missing. You know, Patrick's missing. These are players who get you up the pitch. You know, when a game's tight and it gets a little bit stretched later on, you can give them the ball and they'll drive you 30, 40 yards up the pitch. Yeah. And at the minute, obviously, Romaini's got his goal this afternoon. He's trying to find his way at the club. Abdullah Bar wasn't quite at it again this afternoon for me. You know, he has moments in the game where he'll do something. He put a lovely ball in set and a half, but then he runs into traffic with the ball at times. So he's still learning, but he's got to learn, and it's an opportunity for these lads when Jack's out of the team and Patrick are out of the team, because they'll want opportunities. And I can imagine when they're not playing, they get a little bit of a huff and they're sat around the bench and you train all week. Naturally, it happens. That's when you've got to step up and start delivering for us. But yeah, so that's probably the difference last year. Again, you can look at personnel, experience at centre back. You know, we've got young lads in. Jensen Seal was back in there today, with Luke was out, and you've got young lads coming into the club and new signings who have come in. Callum Stiles, Hjelde, all lads who haven't really perhaps played a lot of football in recent weeks, who have been thrown in and saying, come on, you've got to get up to speed sharpish at the business end of the season.
Played every minute pretty much.
Since he come into the club after, I think he had 45 minutes for Leeds in the first game of the season. Hasn't played football since then, so it's off the top board, isn't it, into the deep end really, and there you go, game after game really. So it's probably catching up with him as well, because people will say, we said it earlier, he's 20-year-old, isn't he? So you say, well, a 20-year-old lad should be able to play, but it's different from going from just an hour and a half on the training pitch Monday to Friday to then going out and chalking off game after game, you know, and this week especially, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, catches up with players as well. And you could see it, I think you could see it a little bit as well in the second half. 1 or 2 lads looking a bit leggy. Of course, the game got stretched later on as it did. They obviously brought fresh legs on as well on the top end of the pitch and caught us cold. But we've got to keep going. It's as simple as that now. What was it, 9-10 games to go? Got to keep going, chalk up as much in terms of points as we can, get back to winning ways.
Stop this run.
And stop the run, and, you know, would you take 13th, 14th now? Absolutely.
Okay then, Danny, thanks for your company this afternoon, and thank you as well for joining us around the world here on SAFC Live. We're broadcasting internationally once again on Saturday the 16th of March is Sunderland's next game. We're back at the Stadium of Light, where we're broadcasting from this afternoon. 3 p.m. kickoff against Queen's Park Rangers. We'll see you soon.